Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your July 2019 general reading. We are looking at the first half of July from the 1st through the 15th. Welcome to everyone here, first timers and newcomers, and welcome back to any followers and subscribers. Thanks for taking the time to tune in today and for sending in all your support, feedback, and comments. Thanks to all of my clients out there. Always a big note of gratitude to you. You guys keep me so busy with personal one-on-one readings. It's always an honor and a pleasure. And if any of you are interested in scheduling a personal reading with me, you can feel free to email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. You can get more info and contact details by clicking on the description link below. I can usually respond to your initial inquiry with more info the same day or within the first 24 hours. And setting up the actual reading is pretty timely too. I do readings full-time, 6 days a week. It's all that I do. So I'm pretty diligent at working with both your schedule and mine to get you readings as quickly as possible. So email me if you're interested and we'll set something up for you. I offer a wide variety of readings in all areas of life. All right, let's move right into this. This reading is for the fire sign of Sagittarius for the first half of July 2019. Let's see what the first half of July has in store for our Sagittarians. Remember that general readings don't always resonate with everyone, or they can resonate differently depending on what area of your life it points to. So if you know your other signs, rising signs, moon sign, Venus sign, watch those as well. It can be helpful in providing additional information or clarification. Okay, Sagittarius, first half of July. Okay, Sagittarius, we begin with the World, followed by the Eight of Swords. We have the Hermit, followed by the Five of Wands. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy for the first half of July is the Ten of Wands. So Sagittarius, it looks like some of you may be withdrawing from a situation, a circumstance, or a person, or you may feel like there's no other choice but to withdraw because there's just too much conflict, it's too heavy, there's too much weight or burden on you. Your overall energy for the first half of July is the Ten of Wands, which can speak of carrying a heavy burden. But tens also represent cycles ending in the tarot, or a cycle coming to completion. Sometimes it can represent something coming to completion in terms of that whatever it represents leaves our life, and sometimes it can represent coming to fruition, coming to completion in a really beautiful sort of way. The Ten of Wands represents a burden coming to an end, or a burden needing to come to an end, coming to the end of something. Could be a cross you've had to bear, a situation that's been going on for quite some time, which I often feel with the Ten of Wands, because I never feel like this man or woman began with 10 wands. I always feel like it started off maybe with nothing, and then one wand became two wands became 5, and then became 10. It's a card that shows up too when someone is feeling just worn out, overwhelmed, like they're carrying the weight of something, the weight of the world on their shoulders, or they're the ones bearing the brunt of everything. It's a card that can feel quite overwhelming and very tiring. But it is a card of that cycle coming to an end, or needing to come to an end, or coming to the end of something. You also have another major ending card here. We have the World, followed by the Eight of Swords. So the World is the last major arcana card in the tarot. The first major arcana card is the Fool. He has the 0 at the top of his card. And all the cards after that are about the Fool's journey through life, which is our journey through life, and change and growth and evolvement until we reach the top. The top of the World, as this card implies, reaching the top of a particularly significant mountain or difficulty or challenge. And it's a card of achievement too, being on top of the world. It's a card of achievement. And even though sometimes endings don't always feel all that great, sometimes they can be very challenging or painful, the world represents that you have gained quite a lot on this journey. But it's a card about major completion and major endings. Now, it's accompanied by the Eight of Swords, which is a card of feeling trapped, particularly by your thoughts, but it is somewhat illusionary energy. Swords in the tarot is governed by the element of air, and air in the tarot represents energy that is in our heads, thoughts, ideas, belief systems, ideologies, because that affects the way that what we believe in our heads and what we think in our heads affects the way that we see the world, that we see people in the world, and how we communicate that as well. So the Eight of Swords is a card about feeling bound by something, feeling held hostage, feeling trapped, feeling powerless to remove yourself from a situation. When in fact the opposite is true. It's one of those cards like the Nine of Swords, which represents our mind being our own worst enemy. The only thing that's actually keeping this woman feeling like she's powerless or helpless is just the idea that she can't remove herself from the situation because of, you know, fill in the blank, whatever, duty, obligation, or, you know, finances. However, what I feel here is that for some of you, whatever this situation is, for some of you for whom this is, regardless of what the situation is, whether this is an actual, I mean, it might be a job, a career path, it might be caring for somebody else, it might be a relationship that you've been in for a long time. It may or may not be over. What I'm getting is that you feel, I feel like some of you may be leaving a situation behind. It could be a relationship, it could be, you know, a job, a project. You know, again, I'm getting caring for somebody. You may be leaving something behind. But some of you, I feel like you're in the position where, because you're feeling so tired and overwhelmed and exhausted, maybe this thing has gone on for such a long time, that you feel that you don't really want it to end, but you don't see any other way out of it but to end it. That's what I'm getting. We have the Hermit and the Five of Wands as well. So the Hermit is a card that can represent withdrawing. The Hermit walks a solitary path. What does the hermit do? Hermits, monks, monastics, what do? They retreat for some time. Could be a short time, could be a long time. Why do they do this? They do this to seek out wisdom, insight, guidance, to reflect on something. The light of this lantern, which he is using to guide his way, represents the sum total of his wisdom and experience that he's gaining from the clarity that he gets from withdrawing, because the hermit takes a step back from the ordinary day-to-day distractions and noise of everyday life in order to go within and seek out wisdom and guidance. And even though there may be people around you or people around him that care about him, that is a path sometimes that we can only walk ourselves. We can only make those decisions by ourselves. And it's about taking some time off to reflect on that. What accompanies it is the Five of Wands, which is a card of conflict, internal conflict, external conflict. It's somewhat petty in nature. In relationships or with groups of people, it can represent gossip, rumor mongering, but it can represent circular conflict, like fighting over the same thing over and over and over again, which is strongly what I'm getting here. Particularly if it's in a relationship, this competitive edge, this fighting over the same thing, nobody winning, nobody losing, but no clear solution or path to success. It just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, the people in this circle are sparring, they're using practice weapons, they're not out to kill each other. And this card can have a variety of different meanings, but it does represent just this circular kind of sparring, this circular fighting, circular arguing over and over and over again. And I feel like for many of you, you may be taking some time off, maybe around the second week or so of July, or just the first half of July in general, because you're tired of the conflict. It's been going on, I think, for quite some time, or, you know, the same issue has been the issue for quite some time. Some of you may be thinking that it's time for this to come to an end, whatever this is here. Just because you can't take, you know, it's been going on for too long, this conflict, this going around and around and around and around. And I think some of you may be feeling that maybe you don't want to leave the situation, the circumstance, the relationship or whatever behind, or even the job or career path, but it's so chaotic or so conflictive, and it just feels like this huge heavy weight that you feel like there may be no other choice but to end it. Maybe the time has come to end it. Let's clarify this Ten of Wands. What is this about? The Two of Cups, often looked at as the soulmate card. It can represent, it does often represent a karmic connection between two people. This can be in a love romance sort of way. This can be in a best friends sort of way. This is someone with whom you connect with on a very karmic level. Sometimes it can represent a relationship that kind of goes away and then comes together and goes away and comes together. The purposes for you coming together is for the growth and learning and evolvement of each other, whether or not you stay together for the rest of your lives or not. There is this kind of karmic connection and karmic bond. It can represent, you know, best friends which transition into something else. Kindred spirits. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a romantic sort of way. So for many of you, this is about a specific relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or best friends as well, like, you know, that kindred spirit, sisterhood, brotherhood. I think there's been some conflict between the two of you, and again, for quite some time. And you may be feeling like there's no other choice than to end it. Some of you may be ending this. I feel definitely like many of you, if not all of you, are taking some time out the first half of July. It can be that you guys already separated or are taking a break, or for some reason there's distance between the two of you. And you're going within, you're kind of contemplating. But again, I'm feeling, Sagittarius, like some of you don't want to let this go or walk away from this relationship, regardless of the nature of what kind of relationship it is, but you feel just because there, you know, this circular issue, that there may be no other choice, and that, you know, you're thinking maybe it's time to end this, and it may in fact be time for it to be over for some of you, but for some of you maybe not, is kind of what I'm getting. And I think it really comes down to whether or not the two of you are on the same page. I mean, in any kind of a relationship, if both of you want the relationship to continue, whether it's just a really good friendship or whether it's a romantic relationship or marriage, if the two of you want it to succeed, then you'll both work together to do what is necessary for that to happen. Because when two people want the same thing, there's no way you can lose if you're willing to put the work into it. But it's a question of whether the two of you are on the same page or not. And I feel like there's some time apart that's going on the first half of July, or there needs to be some time apart too. Let's pull some final, because I don't feel like this is over yet. That's what I'm getting. So let's pull some guidance and advice cards for you. Oh, we had two fall out. Well, that's pretty clear. The Four of Swords and the Hanging Man. So this is your advice, at least for the first half of July, from Spirit, to withdraw temporarily from the conflict, because that's what the Four of Swords represents. The swords represents whatever the source of the fight, the argument, the conflict is, the relationship itself. He's taking a temporary step back from this. To rest, to recuperate, to gain some perspective. It's never a good thing to make an important decision, particularly in ending something significant, when you're in the midst of feeling tired, worn out, exhausted, overwhelmed, like these two cards represent, because you may or may not be prone to making the right decision or the wrong decision. So this is about taking a step back and allowing some distance, some space, some recuperation time, rest, sleep, take care of yourself while you're pondering this. And the Hanging Man is similar energy. It's divine timing and orchestration. The hangman hangs upside down in this uncomfortable, awkward looking position. He understands that it's temporary, and he also understands that he needs to not just rush in and force an outcome or rush an outcome or maneuver things, because things are still playing out. Everything is not known yet. Everything is not seen. Divine timing and orchestration is at play. He knows this is temporary. He's gaining a different perspective while he's waiting to see how things play out before he takes action on it. So Sagittarius, I feel like this is, I mean, that's very clear advice from Spirit. I don't feel like the first half of July is a time in which to make a definitive decision about this relationship, regardless of what type of relationship it is. But this does look like a good time to take some time apart, to kind of rest, recuperate, and maybe get some different perspectives, seek out some insight and guidance from someone from whom their opinion and advice and experience you trust. And make a decision a little bit later when you're not feeling this overwhelming sense of, you know, of pressure and tiredness. Take some time off before you make a decision about this one way or the other. So Sagittarius, that pretty much wraps up your July 2019 reading for the first half of July. I hope that you found it helpful. It looks like a bit of a challenging time, but I think this time you really need to take some time off and take care of yourself, and just kind of be with yourself. If any of you are interested in a personal reading, particularly if this reading resonated with you, please feel free to contact me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. You can also get that info by clicking on the description link below. I would be happy to work with you. I do love and romance readings, relationship compatibility charting, which takes a look at a lot of different things in a specific relationship between two people. I do career, work, and finance readings, investment readings, and I also do 6 and 12-month overviews, which take a look at what's coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months in all the main areas, depending on how far ahead you want to look. And I also offer gift readings for friends, family, and loved ones, because there's nothing more personal than a personal reading, and they make great gifts for people. So there's a variety of things to choose from if you are interested. And I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the July 2019 mid-month readings. And until then, Sagittarius, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, strength, and a very happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.